Hi, this is Ty Hyderali. I'm a plaintiff's lawyer. We concentrate in the area of employment law in New Jersey and New York. So something that is very much at the forefront of some of the executive orders that President Biden has been issuing has to do with the area of implicit bias. And what is implicit bias? Implicit bias is something that very much affects the discrimination laws and the enforcement of the discrimination laws throughout this country, and certainly in New Jersey and New York. Implicit bias is where people use learned behaviors to reflect prejudice in the way of their treatment of others based on implicit stereotypes. And it's not based on any particular interaction with a particular person, but rather a generalized belief based on the person's background. And implicit bias is oftentimes very prevalent when you have acts of discrimination and harassment. And in March of 2020, New Jersey is one of the first states to really attack implicit bias with regard to prenatal care. And this really is consistent with one of the executive orders that President Biden signed into law, which revoked an earlier order that President Trump put into place. And basically President Trump's order, which was in September of 2020 and had a great title to it, Combating Race and Stereotyping was the title of President Trump's executive order. And although that sounds very good, the reality was that in that executive order, President Trump basically denounced the possibility of having training for racial discrimination for federal contractors. And President Trump said this is divisive to have training on the subject matter of implicit bias and systematic racism. And President Biden, in an executive order issued in March of 2020, reversed President Trump on this issue and found that training in this area is not only necessary, but it is helpful to having a better workforce. So change in the tide with regard to the recognition of implicit bias in the workplace, and a change in tide with regard to putting in place various plans and various systems to try to attack it, one of which is training in the workplace. So interesting times to come, as we'll see, I'm sure, more of these types of laws being passed. This is Ty Hyderali. Be safe and be well.